yeah, never ask that question unless you really want to know the answer.
That's right, folks. We're back. We do want to know the answer. That's it. That's why we're here, everybody. That's right. Yes. Welcome back, everybody, to the season finale. Adam, this is the 12th episode of the 8th season. If my math is mathing, that means we're at 96 episodes, which means next season, should we continue to be put on the air for some ungodly reason, we will have our 100th episode. That's crazy to think about.
We have to have like a cake or something. We should celebrate it. Like, I don't know, like go to a lake or something and get on some jet skis and jump over something. I don't know.
Yeah. Like have
a shark or something.
Yeah, exactly. The shark would be good. Yeah, explosion. We could do that with AI. We could just have it designed for us. When you're going with the cake, I was like, well, who jumps out of the cake, Adam? No. Whoa. So, hey, look, it's Phil Hintz, everybody. He's jumped out of the cake. This is supposed to be our opening debate. But it's funny to think about who jumps out of the cake.
We're not doing that debate right now. We're not
who's
going to jump out the cake. We can't do that one.
We want to make it to 100 episodes. Now, at this point, we've got to see it through. We've made it this far. We're not going to flub this up right at the end. An opening debate. As you guys are, those of you that are watching may notice that Adam and I have on our team jerseys. That's right. Go Birds.
Yeah, Colts.
There it is. So what's your favorite season? Now I'm not talking sports season. I'm talking just season of the year. Like now Georgia and Texas, we have really just kind of just one season. But if you had to pick, like, what's your favorite season? What would it be? Like, if you could pick one season, like, I want the season year round, what would it be?
All right, I'm totally going to cheat with this one. And my people in the South know that this is a cheat, but it's not really a cheat. It's that period. It's the end of summer and the beginning of fall. That perfect weather right there, where it's kind of that breezy weather. And I know we're not talking about like sports season, but to me, I think about high school football weather, where it's just that kind of, I could wear just like a light long sleeve shirt, maybe, or short sleeve shirt. That's my weather. That late summer, early fall, where it's kind of like changing seasons. That's my favorite season. I enjoy that time of the year. What say you, Hooker?
And it is another part of that season, specifically for parents out there listening to this podcast. You know what I'm talking about, where you get to send your kids back to school. And for those of you that are educators out there listening, are like, yes, we know. I think fall in general is, and in fact, if either of the presidential candidates can guarantee me a fall year round, I would vote for them. So yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We will make fall happen year round. I think it's not just the pumpkin spice lattes, although I will say, as we're recording this episode today, that the brand, that they're not a sponsor, so I can't mention their name, but it rhymes with Farlux. They came out with their fall beverage that my girls absolutely love and is super expensive. And then there's football. I mean, I kiss my kids on the head tomorrow and say, hey, you know what? The season's starting. You'll see Dad in February. I'm done. My first
time to fire up the Red Zone channel. Reactivate that account. Oh yeah, all that good stuff.
My fantasy football draft is coming up. But there's also, and now it's just because it's this very male driven podcast, obviously driven by two males. But I will say, the Hallmark Channel, my wife loves, starts to come out with all those little holiday classics. They'll let going into winter more. So I don't know. But yeah,
my wife just likes it because then she starts doing the decoration, the decor, all the little
cinnamon
bales of hay and cinnamon and
scarecrows and yeah.
Now for me, I'd say a close second though is on the other side of that would be that spring also, because you're coming out of the. I know, once again, in the South, our little cold weather we get, but that 2 time weeks, where the spring is coming in, I can get jiggy with that.
Yeah. It's definitely for me, it's all about the weather. I've decided years ago that I'm tired of being in heat, and it's 108, and it's August, and like, why am I living in Texas? But you know what, listeners out there, give me an alternative that doesn't also have like extreme cold, because like we can't deal with that either.
No.
I feel like maybe Hawaii or San Diego, Janet Mishi, she's been on the show. I should ask her, like, what's it like down there? It's
Oh
always
yeah,
the
it's
same
beautiful
weather.
down there.
Yeah.
Can't afford to live there, but it looks beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, no, I would sleep on the beach, but yeah. I don't know. They might frown upon that.
Yeah, the kids may like that for one day, and then after that, they're like, "Come on, Dad, what's going on here?"
Well, it's been a roller coaster year. We've had a lot of stuff. We did, of course, our live IST podcast. We're right in the middle of the season, and I think if things work out correctly, my math is mathing again. You and I will be in the same location at FETC, I believe.
Yeah.
So possibilities. Those of you listening out there that are always been interested in being on the show, we're open to bribes, so we'll take tips. No, not really, but really, no.
Oh yeah.
Come, we'll try to do maybe a live recording there at FETC because last year, for those of you that have not been listening to our show, will remember that Adam.
Shame on you. First, shame on you.
Right. Although we do say download, you don't have to listen. But we just need the subscribers. But Adam didn't get to make it, obviously, to FETC last year because of the cancer. And
yeah. I decided to get cancer, shame on me for that. But, and as you were talking about FETC, and I'm thinking, for me, that's going to I have that circled on my calendar because it's not quite a year since everything happened on FETC. But for me, that's going to be me having a year from everything going south.
Yeah.
For me to kind of celebrate that at FETC. So I'm definitely looking forward to enjoying that. And I know I'm a featured speaker on the assistive technology track. I think you're feature speaker on
the coaches track. Yeah. Well, I thought about that too. Yeah, there's such a moment in your life at that moment, where it's like you're going to FETC and you're gonna be a featured speaker, and I think you were taking the kids to go to Disney World, and and then all of it comes crashing down. And so I saw you at ISTE, and obviously it was emotional just to come back because it was your first big event. But I think this one, FETC, like you say, I like that. It's going to kind of close kind of the loop on that chapter of your life, and then of course we hope that we don't ever experience that again.
Quick side note on that, and this is showing how oblivious I was to how serious the situation was. I was in my hospital bed prior to my surgery to have my gallbladder and part of my liver removed, and I'm calling Jen Womble at FETC saying,
"Shout out to Jen."
Okay, yes, I'm like, I think I'll be able to make it. They said I could fly maybe after 2 weeks, and the nurse is in there just like looking at me with a smile on her face. She's like, "Polo, tink tink, we're gonna let him have his moment, and then we'll tell him the truth later." Shout out to my nurse for not crushing my dreams.
Yeah, it's hard. It comes. Yeah, the reality of all that, and we've talked about it on the show. But I do think, it's always you never know until it happens. I guess we've had a few friends, guests on past shows that have battled cancer in different ways too, and so just keep fighting the fight. But we're excited to be back in person again, of course at ISTE, but also at FETC this next coming season, which will probably kick off, I don't know, probably right before the holidays, and we'll do some live recording in January. There's something else happening, Bo, between now and probably next season, Adam, and we're gonna have a new president. I don't know if you heard this, but there's an election coming up.
It is?
Yeah, I think it's November something.
Oh, I need to check in on that.
Yeah. I think you got to turn down for what? There's a lot going on, and while we keep this podcast very apolitical, it's just gonna whether we like it or not, all of this affects us in education, and especially in this one too, because again, you've got kind of two sides that have different beliefs on public education in particular, and I've seen it here in Texas, you've seen it in Georgia. So it's always interesting to see how these things turn out. I'm not a huge fan of like political theater. I've mentioned that before, but I do think, you want the right people in there making the right decisions for us as a country. So it's going to be interesting as things come up in November 5th.
Yeah, I always tell people just be as informed as possible as you can on the issues and the platforms, because each candidate has their platform on their website. So read over it and see what speaks to you. If something's not there, but that candidate is your person, I strongly encourage you to reach out to your representatives and let them know what your concerns are, because they don't know if we don't tell them. So we have to make sure they know that connectivity is so important. Funding our education is important. So no matter who's in the White House, we got to make sure we have the funds there. We got to make sure connectivity is at the forefront of everyone's mind. Those are the things that we need to make sure that no matter who sits in the big chair behind the resolute desk, that they understand what the people need. And those are those things that we need. We need connectivity, even though some people are trying to disconnect a lot of stuff. We got to make sure we're connected. Rural areas are still struggling out there. You have your mountainous areas, your low-lying areas too, across our country don't have high-speed connectivity. So we definitely have to do better as a country with that.
Maybe Elon can help, Adam. Maybe he can put your buddy. Sorry. No, we're not contractually obligated to bring up Elon, but we are contractually obligated to bring up the word AI. But so there, we said it.
Yes.
It was interesting. I don't know if you picked this up on this, but we're in ISTE. This is starting to happen, and then it feels like it gained momentum. It wasn't. I mean, AI itself is kind of, I feel like, hit that peak, and we're kind of figuring out where we are with it. But the cell phone thing, and I know we talked to Marcinick on one of our last shows about it, but I mean, that's kind of come. I mean, I feel like it's gotten big, the momentum of it. Yeah. I just got asked to be a presenter at a conference in Long Island in October, and they were like, "Hey, one of the sessions we want you to talk about is banning cell phones." And I was like, "Whoa, wait, what do you want me to talk about?" And like, and I honestly, they didn't say one way or the other. They said, "We just want you to have a conversation with people." And I was like, "Oh, awesome," because I think that it is an important conversation. I mean, whatever you fall, wherever you are on that debate.
And I think the cell phone issue, and I was thinking about, why are we back here again? Because it seems like we had this conversation already. Yeah. But this is actually one of the children of the pandemic.
Yes.
Because during the pandemic, we were, of course, isolated. And the technology, the cell phone, became the tether, the lifeline for so many of our youth, where that's how they were able to connect with their peers. Whether it was FaceTime or Zoom meetings or whatever they were doing, they were connecting, texting on their various apps with their peers. So they got a greater dependency on those devices during the pandemic. And now we're having to reap the consequence of that, where in some cases our kids have not learned that moderation, that time to get off, that time to separate themselves from the devices. So I do get the issues that schools are facing with that, but instead of banning, because outside of those 8 hours of school, they still had to learn that skill of when to disconnect, when to have that time where they're not on their devices and glued to it. And I have a 13-year-old. I know you have a couple of teenagers in your house right now. So I know that's an issue that I'm personally facing. I know you're facing, just having that time where kids learn to separate or disconnect from those devices. That's what I'm seeing. What about you?
Yeah, I'm 1000% with you. And I think when you were talking about the pandemic, it made me reflect on that period of time right before the pandemic. Remember 2019? There was a lot of momentum already happening. There'd always been the slow momentum about anti-screens and screen times and things like that. And it all got tabled. And I feel like the pandemic came, and like you said, it just got, okay, now let's just figure out how we can get through this and connect. And I think you're right. I think this is the 5-year hangover of the pandemic, what we're experiencing now with, let's reconnect, let's turn the devices off, let's get back to the humanistic side of things. And I'm seeing a similar thing happening with AI, which is kind of tied to it somewhat, is like, let's make sure, and I'm a part of a group called the human movement right now, human intelligent movement. And it's kind of like, and it's not because they're anti-AI, it's more like, how do we continue to do the balance, which I like. Because again,
isn't that the a group that George Costanza started? I know he had the Human Fund.
It's the Human Fund. Yeah, that's right. That I gave to my boss because I don't celebrate the regular. I mean, because what's it? Festivus for the rest of us. No, yeah, I know it sounds like it could be, but it's real.
It's a real thing. It's just real.
It is real.
But like with me, I've seen, because going back to before the pandemic, you started going to I know with concerts and things of that nature, they started pushing out those little baggies that you would put your cell phones
in. Yonders, yeah.
Yeah. And I am a fan of that, because sometimes you just need to be present. If I'm at a concert, because honestly, how many times have you actually went back and looked at a video that you recorded at a concert? I have stuff on my phone that I don't even look at, but I want to observe it with my real eyes. So sometimes it's important to disconnect and have that memory in my brain, in my mind, and I can have a conversation about it. I don't have to have a video or picture of the time I saw Beyonce. I don't. I mean, it was in my brain.
We sound so old right now. Like, just put
the phone
away. I don't. But you're right. I'm the same way. I'm at concerts. Like, I make a conscious effort of like, I'll take a 5-second clip just to have it as a memory for the year, because we do our year-long review video in our household. But that's it. I don't need to see the whole concert. I don't need to see. I want to watch and just experience the crowd. Experience it. Yeah. And I think maybe that's part of this backlash. I don't know, but it's going to be, the book, I just ordered the book, The Anxious Generation, because I've had enough people tell me about it. And it's basically, I think says, and I'll read it in the next couple of weeks, and it'll say, what I've heard is it's no phones till 16, like stuff like that. Like, don't give your kids on social media. A lot of things like hold off as long as you can and keep that childhood, which I appreciate. And it's something, like you said, you're wrestling with your kids too. And it's, it's that balance of, we have limits on all their devices. And in the summer, of course, we loosen that up, and now we're tightening it up again. But
I mean, my 5-year-old. No, I'm dating myself now. No, 7-year-old.
I was gonna say,
I keep wanting to make him my 5-year-old. My 7-year-old. It was so funny the other day. I was in the front yard and I was sending a text message, and I often do speech to text, as most users. And I hit my little button and I'm making my message, and then I noticed out the corner of my eye he's standing next to me. He's made his own phone out of Legos, and he's mimicking what I'm doing on his Lego phone.
Yes.
And
watch us. Yes.
Yeah. And he's like, so Dad, when am I going to get my phone? And I was like, son, your sister didn't get hers till she was, 12, and she was a cheerleader and had after school stuff. I don't know, mate. We'll see. But it gets younger and younger because he says some of his friends have cell phones, and they're 7. That blows my mind. Like, dude, you got an iPad. That's all you need. That's all you need. You got an iPad.
Piece of technology that costs, it's your third highest bill that you probably pay in your house after your mortgage and your car, if you have a car loan. But you give it to a 7-year-old. Anyway. Yeah. Well, you know what? I think I have a sound here now. Close your ears, everybody, because it's going to be kind of loud. But dun, da, 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 da. It's the sound of fall, and of course we're gonna now have to pay a copyright to Fox for that, or whoever. Yeah. Oh, sorry. But right here, I have it, a list, Adam, and it is my draft cheat sheet, because it is time for the Fantasy EdTech Football Draft. That is right. We are going to.
This was like one of our most popular episodes last year that we did.
Yeah.
On our Fantasy EdTech Draft. So I mean, this is backed by popular demand.
Yes, by popular demand. This time we're going to do a little differently. We're going to co-draft a team together. We're going to be co-owners of the fantasy educational technology. Not even educational technology, just education draft, because we're really expanding our categories. We're not going to just stay. Although tech leaders are going to be a part of the team, they're going to play a role on this team. But we also have a lot of other roles and positions, and we of course pilfered through a lot of our old episodes. Again, 8 seasons. You got a lot of guests that we can pull from, and also just folks we know in the industry. So let's get this started. I have listed off at the top is we need a coach for this team. So a coach, we'll say, is a superintendent. So we're thinking of superintendents, and we're going to accept both like current, and then also some that have recently become former, because we know a lot of folks move around in this industry, and some we've had on the show that were superintendents when they're on the show. And so who you got? We got a few choices in this category.
Well, and with that being said too, it's kind of like coaches sometimes. They take that year hiatus and then they go somewhere else. Sometimes they just need to rejuvenate themselves and acclimate themselves to the changes of the game, and then they go back. So same thing with some of our soups. So some of them may not currently be running a district, but that itch is there, and they're going to be back.
Yeah, and what a coach does, right? They come back, they try to inspire, they try to give you, they try to motivate, and sometimes these, a superintendent will come in front of their staff in the first week of school and be like, hey, our mission this year is this, whatever it is what we're going to follow. And then, of course, following up on that and working and being a part of that is a big part of it too. So our choices, we got a few listed here. We had Xandra Joe on this last season, and she, to me, is like, she fires me up. She talks, she gets super excited. She shared her backstory of herself, being a Latina superintendent, already kind of in the minority in that sense, but also female. So I think inspiring in a lot of ways. I would put her out there as someone we could choose. We only got about a minute left on the clock, so we're gonna have to pick her pretty quick. Who else you got?
I mean, we got, going to Jersey, we got our man, Glenn Robbins, out there doing some amazing things out there.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I love the work that he's doing out there. So it's esports. I love his energy too. I see him dressing up, taking parts of things going on in the buildings. I mean, that's the kind of leader you want. You don't want your superintendent to be the Wizard of Oz, this person that's in this office space that you only hear the voice via emails. I need my soup to be out in the streets and doing
coach
things.
On the field, man, not in the skybox. Yes.
But you know
Absolutely.
what? I'm gonna go a little different here, and you know what? I'm gonna keep this one local because I've had a chance to work with this super a little bit at ASU GSV, and I've seen some of the work that he's doing in one of the largest districts here in the state of Georgia. I'm gonna have to go with my man Calvin Watts. He's doing an amazing work here in Gwinnett County. They have an AI department. They're one of the first districts in the state to do that. Very forward-thinking superintendent. So he's going to be my pick for my superintendent for my fantasy football ed tech team.
Okay, so we're choosing our own teams then. Okay, I thought we were going to pick them together. Fine, whatever. You want to go that route. I mean, there's other like Marlon Styles and Joe Sanfilippo, but we're both, they were retired superintendents. I would say now they've moved on to other things, but we still keep in touch with them as well. Lots of great soups out there. All right, then I guess Alexandra, Joe, I'm going to go with you.
We can do the team together. together.
I mean, Calvin's good. We haven't had him on the show yet, so maybe this will get him on the show because we keep trying to lure him on. So, Calvin, if you're out there listening,
this is stuff for Digital Learning Day. So, big shout out to our friends in Gwinnett County. But yeah,
he did it. That was an amazing video that they did. I forgot. Yeah, for Digital Learning Day last February. So, yeah, Calvin, we need to get you on the show. But yeah, let's go, Calvin. You're our coach. All right, next up, we have our QB, the person who's calling the plays on the field, in the building, the principals.
I mean, for this position, I need somebody who can make those in-time decisions, who knows how to like make that call when it needs to be made. Because when you talk about a principal, someone in that building, things change every day. You have teachers that need support. You have parents that need support, students that need support. So whoever we pick for this position has to be someone who is able to think on their feet, who's very agile in this role. So who do we have to pick from?
We got some choices here. There's Jimmy Casas, who's of course a big part of All for Ed. He does a lot of work with us, and so kind of our internal pick, if you will, would be Jimmy. And now he's not currently a principal, but was for several years. Actually, Tom Murray was also a principal. Now I think about it, he could be on this list right here as a former principal. Carla Jefferson, we've had on the show. Brian Miller, Henry Turner. Lots of different choices out there. And I was thinking Todd Lesloni would be another one. We haven't had him on the show, but he's another one here in Texas, local. Thoughts on this? Where are we going on this one? This is tricky. So we got to make sure also that the coach and the QB get along, because that's an important part of it. So Calvin he'd get along with all these folks because Calvin's great. I don't know. I feel like Henry might be my choice, and that's getting us some, because now we got Southeast, now we'll get some Northeast love with Henry, right?
Yeah.
And then that'll kind of help us cover that region.
I mean, Henry, the great equity focused leader. That's one of the things he leads with there. So ensuring that all students have opportunity. So for any district, any district that I'm putting together, I want to ensure that I have somebody who gives opportunities to all students. So I can co-sign on that one.
Okay. As we move to wide receiver, of course, teacher, a lot of us, we could have a list a mile long on this one, because a lot of people that we interview are former teachers or are teachers at the moment. And we haven't had a lot of teachers on the show, though, Adam. I think we're going to have to increase that this next year.
Yeah, we got to do that.
A lot of great teachers. So I put a couple here on my notes, looking at my cheat sheet here. And we've got Rochelle Danae Poth, who we've had on the show. And then, of course, Kim Zajac, who we just had on this last season, who, in the classroom, she's a speech and language pathologist, classroom teacher as well. So, I put those two down. Again, we could list, there's so many folks that have, but you and I are both former teachers. Yeah.
Because here's one thing also with teachers, and I think you said it on one of our previous episodes, when someone came to you and said, I'm just a teacher, you're not just a teacher. If the teachers aren't there, things don't happen. We need teachers in the building. I know we have that wide receiver, but now that I'm thinking about it, we could even say like the teacher would be like the offensive line, because they protect that quarterback, and they ensure that quarterback, because if you don't have a line, that quarterback can do all the play calling he wants, but the ball ain't getting hiked and they're getting sacked every single time. So I know we have wide receiver down, but as I'm kind of thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know, just because it's a group. So
that could also be the class. That could also be the school like admin secretary that's like up at the front desk. It's like blocking those parents before they come in. And
fielding those calls. But there's so many great teachers to choose from out there, man. Because here's the thing too. Truth be told, my wife's a teacher too. So like, I don't know if I can like pick somebody else and have to deal with that.
You should probably stay out of this one. I'll
I'm gonna stay out of that one.
Rochelle. Very slightly over Kim, only because Rochelle's got the lawyer background, which might come in handy with this team. We don't know what kind of trouble we're going to get into. Now, librarians, tight end, a librarian is kind of a jack of all trades. They can do a lot of different things. Like much like a tight end, you can line them up in the backfield. You can put them out on, out wide. Librarians fill a lot of roles in a lot of ways, especially our modern library media specialists. And so, we've got a couple we've had on the show before. Kara Thorntonson from Chicago Public Schools, and of course, this would be a tough one to go away from. But Shannon Miller, who, of course, again, all for ed. So we try not to pick internal people just necessarily, but she does a lot more than just all for ed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's like, when people think libraries, Shannon's the one that pops into their mind. She's doing some amazing things in that space. And not to say, totally with all for ed, but, we also have like Bill Bass, who does some great stuff as a coordinator for library services out there.
Andrew Wallace does some of that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many great folks out there that are doing some amazing things in our libraries and getting books in the hands of our kids. So,
Yeah.
I think we should play that one safe right there, because, you need a safe, dependable tight end and go with Shannon on that one.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'll highlight right here, Shannon. And that also gives us some Midwest regional love there, too, because, actually Rochelle on the western side of Pennsylvania, but then we've got Shannon in Iowa. So, yeah, covering some of our regions here as well. Now, instructional coach, our running back is the instructional coach. Yeah, that's the person that's going to power through the line. It's you depend on to kind of run the plays to help kind of get that next yard, right? Just get those teachers on the hump, maybe when it's learning a new strategy, learning a new skill. So our instructional coaches are going to be our running backs, and there's a ton we've had on the show, but Sarah Thomas, Sean Arnold, Jackie Patneo that we had on just at ISTE Live recently.
Yeah. She was one of the 20 to watch.
Yep. Julie Kleinman Ross. So a lot of, again, instructional coaches. Where are you going on this one? What are you thinking?
Ooh, this one's tough, man. My heart is leaning me to one of our biggest fans out there. She's been supporting the show for a while there. I'm leaning Sarah the teacher.
Yeah,
Sarah Thomas there.
Sarah the teacher, who is incredible. I agree with you 1000% on this one. I mean, they're all great. And Sarah, because she tweets us out. You know what? You got to play to the owners at some point. Yeah, that's okay.
Yes.
So then I have a few other categories, Adam. So offensive coordinator, I've listed out. We've got a list here. And now this is assistant Okay, so offensive coordinator is like the assistant superintendent. So again, the person that's helping the coach, right? The one's calling the offensive plays, making sure the curriculum's getting in there. Making sure you have your Post-it notes up on the walls when you walk in, so you can do your little gallery walk sticker thing, which some people out there right now going, geez, that just happened last week. Stop it. It's too soon.
Because you got to have that. I mean, you got to have a viable curriculum. I mean, that's, you got to have that playbook. You got to have that thing to run. I mean, no one wants to go to a game with no offense.
You got to unpack the standards.
Yes.
Sorry, we're offending a lot of assistant superintendents out there. There's plenty of assistant superintendents of curriculum, but we've had a couple on the show now. Dana Castine technically does. I think she has a title that has like 17 things on it. She was the acting superintendent. She's the tech director. She's also the assistant superintendent. And then we've had also Dr. Matthew Joseph, who was on our first season. Good friend of ours, and he's up in now he is the assistant superintendent of teaching and learning, I believe, outside of Boston.
New Bedford.
Yeah, big district right there outside of Boston, doing a lot of great things up there as well. What are you thinking on this one?
Ooh, I mean, you know what? I kind of look at Dana. I'm thinking at the versatility of that she has there, And if I'm picking one, I would just lean her a little bit, because the versatility of my OC, she has the versatility where we could plug her in other places if we have to.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm picking her at not only because of that versatility, but also out of spite because Matt Joseph continues to win our actual fantasy football league sometimes, and I'm just still mad about that. So I'm not picking him because he keeps winning somehow. And
don't know how.
And we have our draft coming up pretty soon. Okay, DC. Now this is gonna be tricky. Defensive coordinator. This is the tech leader, right? This is the person keeping the enemy at bay, making sure that our filters are in place, making sure everything's safe, right? Our technology, just being, defending everything on the field and off. And we've got, a laundry. I don't even know where to start on this list. Rob Dixon, Andy Marsnick, we just had on recently, Brian Seymour, Bill Bass, who you mentioned, Greg Bagby, Steve Dembo, Alana Winnick, Chantel Monahan, Patricia Brown. Where do we go on this?
Whew.
Matt Holly,
Gosh.
another one. Yeah, I mean, it's so many folks on this list. It's
Yeah, I
like,
mean, like with this one, this would be a perfect team to build out. I could have my DC, my defensive line
oh,
coach, my DBs coach.
yeah, linebackers coach. You could build your defensive line. Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't even know where to pick with this one. You know, part of me really wants to lean toward gosh, I don't even know right now. I think I'm gonna go with my man Rob Dixon out in Wichita.
The man with the plan and the shades, because I saw him just recently, and he was sporting those new Meta glasses that I think a couple other people on this list actually have, like Matt Holly and Steve Dembo also have those Meta glasses. You know, I'm talking about the Ray-Bans or
Yeah,
whatever.
yep.
Yeah.
And and that goes to like, I want my DC to have a little swagger, and Rob has a little swagger to him.
He does.
He's got some swagger.
He does, and I like that he's also kind of a dual threat in the sense that while he does a lot of work with Microsoft, he's also well-schooled on Apple. I mean, so he's got a wide range, so he can kind of, whatever we throw at him as an offense, he's going to be able to take us on, and yeah, that's a great pick. Okay, last couple categories. We're running long on time. This is a season ender, folks. We're getting near the end. We're almost done. We got to do our kicker here. So our kicker is going to be, sorry kicker, but you're the vendor. We have some vendor friends. We have a lot of friends that are in the industry. We have Berge Aiken at ClassLink, who I've known for a long time. Zareen Poonen, who's been on the show, was actually at San Francisco Unified, but now she's at Padlet. Adam Bello, of course, with Breakout EDU, has been around forever. Sal Khan, has not been on the show. Put him on here. I could put Elon Musk. No,
but he can come on the show anytime.
Anytime, Saul. It's always open.
Holla at your boy.
And then, of course, Alethea Master, who's done a lot of great stuff with her program, and she's the CEO, I think is what the phrase is. The CEO, over there at MadLearn. So, what are you thinking with vendors?
You know what? This one's tough because all of these are great vendors that we've had relationships with over the years. Part of me want to go with my main man, Berge, out with ClassLink. Awesome guy, CEO. I know he does a lot to support districts. But you know what? I kind of want to go with somebody young, get some young blood out there, because we're building for the long haul. So let's switch it up and go with our girl Alethea.
She can kick it. And
yes,
she could kick it, and she's a kicker, and she's always got on the nice kicks as well. I'm with you on that, and that was probably the most dad thing I've ever said. Oh, she's got on the nice kicks, as the kids say these days.
I know you're risen her up.
I know, yeah, exactly. See, that's Skibbity Ohio toilet riz. Okay. Hey, we speak the same language. Somehow our kids, even though they live states away, speak the same language. It's amazing how it works. All right, last couple things. Special teams coach. Now, these are people that are like kind of in bigger roles around, and so they take on a lot of different things and programs. And so we got listed here a few, like Richard Culata, who of course we've had on the show a couple times, and the head of ISTE and ASCD, and Jennifer Ellis, who of course Oliver Ed, and Keith Kruger at COSIN. Jen Womble, who you mentioned, and of course our friend Matt Winters, recently named the AI czar, although he hates it when I call it that.
Yeah.
The AI czar of the state of Utah. So again, lots of different ways to go on this one. How are we feeling?
Ooh, wow. Once again, we put together a really great list here of folks to choose from. Man, and this is no slight to anyone on this list.
I know we shouldn't list them now that I think about it. Because they'll be like, wait, you picked so and so over me.
This is when the beef starts.
Yeah, exactly. Kendrick versus Drake is about to start right here. It's going to be Womble versus Culata for the title.
I know, the crown.
Yeah.
I love our friends. Of course, I'm a member of ASCD ISTE board. So it'd feel very, very much like nepotism for me to go to Richard Culata. Love the guy. One of my favorite guys. And also on the side note, thoughts and prayers go out to Richard. He's got some stuff going on with his son right now that he's posted online. So not getting into that, but check that out. You know what? I'm gonna lean because we mentioned it earlier, so I'm just gonna lean to our good friend Jen Womble at FETC.
Yeah, Jen.
Where are you leaning?
I'm with you because she's a powerhouse, man. I mean, I don't know, but she's like everywhere. Do you notice that she's
Yeah.
omnipresent in a lot of
And
ways?
this is
Like
a small team she has.
yeah, she does it all, and I see her at all these events, just like and she's picking up ideas, figuring out ways to make things more interactive, more engaging. And again, that's something you need special from a special teams coach. So I'm with you on that. And of course, we want to give a quick shout out to our retired players. Those that have been on the show before: Donna Williamson, Cheryl Apshire, Marlo Gaddis. You're remembered. We got our Hall of Fame Hall of Fame game coming up. Yeah, 5 years. You got to wait though before you get the jacket, right? The UnDisrupted jacket.
So this is like Bill Belichick right now, So they're retired, they're out the game right now, but some could pull them back in there because they're still doing stuff, So
they're still doing
like the analyst roles right now.
No, yeah, they're going to be on ESPN. Yeah, they're doing commentary. I see all three of these ladies everywhere all the time. Again, doing talks, presentations, and helping consult, and then they're also helping kind of raise up that next generation. I know they're doing a lot of work with COSIN and bringing up that next generation of tech leader too, which I think is absolutely amazing. So shout out to those ladies as well.
We put together a good team, but it just dawned on me. Who's the team owner? Like, who's going to be our
it's us.
Arthur Blank or who's the owner of this team?
Jerry Jones. I mean,
our Jerry. Who owns this team? I mean, it can't just be one person though. We can't just have a single owner.
Well, who owns a school? Who owns a district? It's I guess it could be. Yeah, so I guess it could be like the stakeholders, the people, the community.
Yeah.
They're the owners.
They hold us accountable. I mean, we're held accountable, just like the Packers. They're owned by the fans. So you know what? Our team owned by our stakeholders, our parents, our community members, that community engagement piece. Those are our owners because they hold us accountable for what we do.
Yep. All 220 million parents out there, you are owners of our team. We have a lot of owners to share. So recapping, guys, we have our superintendent, coach, Calvin Watts, principal, Henry Turner is our quarterback. Wide receiver, Rochelle, librarian, Shannon. That's our tight end. Our running back and instructional coach, Sarah Thomas. Our offensive coordinator, Dana Castine. Defensive coordinator, Rob Dixon. Our vendor, Alethea Master. And our special teams coach, Jen Womble. And of course, you, the owner, the stakeholder of the UnDisrupted EdTech team champion. This is a team that's going to win, man. I mean, can you imagine can you imagine having this team on your campus in your district? I mean, my goodness, the power of this team. And all of you that didn't make it, just because you didn't get drafted, that doesn't mean there's someone else out there that wouldn't draft you as well. And we probably left off 1,000 others. I know we did off of this list. So
definitely.
We kind of narrowed it down to just people we'd had on the show. But thank you guys always. And again, Adam, before we leave, I think we should probably, this episode is airing probably right around the kickoff of the football season, but also the kickoff of school season. So any advice to those educators and leaders out there that are thinking, what's coming?
This is my biggest advice I'll give an educator, and I'm going to keep it quick. Take time for yourself throughout the year. We're just starting on the school year. You don't want to get burned out early. Take time for yourself. Have those moments where you can just stop and breathe and smell the roses, smell the flowers in your space. Take time for yourself because it's a long school year. Most places you have like 180 days or so with kids, 190 plus 10, whatever. Take your time, enjoy life. No problem's too big. That's my advice.
Yeah.
What about you?
Mine would be remember why you're here. Remember why we're doing what we're doing. And there's going to be a lot of times when there'll be, especially for our leaders out there and teachers too, they get a lot of things thrown at them throughout the year, and you're going to hear a lot of noise. And this, of course, is a political year with the election of the president. So a lot of other noise, and just as much as you can, just always center yourself back on that passion and the joy of why we do what we do every day in education, and why you and I do what we do. And it's to have fun on the show, and we get to reach a lot of educators and leaders, and we're both thankful and blessed for that. But I do think that's something that we have to continue to hark back to when those hard times come, and they will, and they do.
Yeah.
You get through them, and you keep powering forward because it's all about the kids. I believe the children are our future. No. So we want to thank you all for joining us on this final episode of the UnDisrupted Podcast. Of course, thank you to those folks at All for Ed for continuing to put Adam and I on the air. We look forward to next season where we'll have our 100th episode, hopefully. Knock on wood. And he's Adam. You can follow him at AskAdam3.
And he's Carl, and you can follow him at Mr. Hooker. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, we are better together.
And we are better
UnDisrupted. Let's go, Colts.